Alright guys, I've been doing a lot of research on speakers and builds here lately, and basically diagrams of how they work and what they look like and how they're built. And I've known quite a bit about them, but what I've recently noticed is that you're building, whenever they build speakers, you always have, here's your basket, right? And then here's your magnets. On the inside, they have a little metal rod basically running up through the middle of it, and that's what most people who build speakers call your motor. And they always have a magnet attached to it. So I was thinking, well, whenever that happens, I found this one speaker that came out of my TV that attached to the motor, there's a magnet on each plate, well, on each side of the motor. And I was like, well, that's pretty interesting. I've never seen it. And this is a tiny speaker. This is about 2 inches across right here. Well, not 2 inches, I'd say about maybe 3. And and it was really loud for how small it was. So I was sitting there thinking, something I haven't really done, and that's having a little motor with a magnet around it, and then also whenever you have your basket sitting on it, there's usually an itty bitty gap for your coil to sit down in. I was thinking, well, maybe they're trying to get magnetism all the way around so that it can have a stronger pull and push whenever the signal goes through it. And that kind of blew my mind there. And I was thinking, well, since I only have round magnets, maybe I can set it on a metal plate with other metal walls coming up around it to make it magnetized around it also, instead of just having the magnet sitting there with the coil on top of it. So what I did is I got my magnets, and then I found this little metal plate. It was about this size right here, and this is basically the top part for it, but I cut it out where it would make like a box and the magnet could fit right in the middle, and there's about an eighth of an inch gap around each side of the magnet in between it and the metal plate. And I was thinking, well, maybe that would help improve how loud my speakers can get. And so I went ahead and built my little box for it, and made little gaps going around it so that it gets magnetism all the way around the outside. And usually they have also a top plate with a magnet attached to it, but I can't really find anything to make a hole in metal that's just big enough, that's slightly bigger than the magnets that I got. And I went to a hobby store. It's kind of like Hobby Lobby, except it's called Joann's. You might not have it around you, but I went in basically their jewelry making section and found magnets. I was looking for neodymium magnets, but all they had were the itty bitty, like eighth of an inch sized magnets, and these are like 3/4 of an inch. So all Walmart had was the button neodymium magnets, so I said forget it. And I went to try and go to Hobby Lobby, but they were closed because it was 9 o'clock at night. And so I got these ceramic magnets. They're pretty strong. They're not as strong as neodymium magnets, but they're pretty high up there. They're ceramic. They chip real easily, and they're pretty strong. They're stronger than the magnets that are usually on regular speakers. So I was like, hey, this could probably make pretty good speakers. And knowing that these aren't as strong as neodymium magnets, I was like, well, I'm probably not going to have as much power coming off the magnets to make them as strong. So I've been doing looking at a lot of diagrams, and saw that, hey, they all have like a metal casing going around them, or magnets attached to it, maybe to get magnetism all the way around it. So I'm going to go ahead and try and use my little box that I made and see if that would help. So I gotta get my magnets. These are the same ones as inside the little metal casing. You get 8 ceramic ones for about $3. They're really cheap, and you could get maybe two neodymium magnets this size for $3. So these are almost as strong as neodymium magnets, but you also get a lot more because they're cheap, and they're a pretty good alternative if you can't afford to get neodymium magnets because they're expensive. So and also they're about the same size, but the ceramic ones are slightly bigger. So I'm thinking about, whenever I get neodymium magnets again sometime, maybe instead of having ceramic magnets just piled up, maybe put neodymium in between each one, like have 2 ceramic ones with the neodymium in between, to see if that would strengthen them. That way I'm not having to use as many neodymium magnets because they're expensive, and also these are cheap, so I could just put these on the, like, basically sandwich a neodymium magnet with them. That way it's cheaper and you still have the power. So alright, now we're going to go to our build. This one I'm going to see if I can make a pretty small one, because I'm trying to make a little tiny boombox I can carry around with me, and it's made out of the Commonwealth's raspberry tea. It's a wooden box and it had tea bags in it, and I was going to use this for a projector, but I could never find a magnifying lens. But I'm just going to mount one on each side and then run my amp into it and use that as a little baby boombox. So I'm going to see how this works out, and if it works, I'm going to get my other metal plate here and build the same speaker, then put both of them on here, run my amp into it, and then see how it goes. Alright, so we need our magnets, and we need paper. So right now we're just going to build the shaft for it. That way we can go ahead and start making our wraps. Alright, then you get your magnet, your paper, you put it on there and just wrap it around there. And most people, they keep the paper on there and then add another layer, but the way I do it is I try to have the coils completely exposed, so there's no barrier in between the magnetism and the coil. I don't know if it really does anything, but this is the way I've been building them since I've started making speakers. So I just build the coil on here, take the coil off, and then use the paper that I made the coil on for the shaft. And now all we got to do is make our coil and start wrapping it. But get some tape and to make sure that your paper doesn't come loose from whenever you wrapped it around there, because I need it to be secure. And then bam, wrapped around the magnets, keep it in there for support. Alright, and then gotta find some wire real quick. I think it's no, I don't have a duffel bag. I have some magnet wire over here somewhere. Here we go. And well, bam, you can find these inside of almost any kind of electronics that you have in your house. Just crack it open and there should be tons of magnet wire in whatever device you end up cracking open. I don't know if there's any in MP3s or anything like that. I highly doubt, but you never know. But there probably won't be much inside of them. So I suggest like getting old TVs, like microwaves, uh, and just your basic appliances uh, to get out of. But now let's go ahead and start wrapping. Oh. Alright. First layer of the coil done, really nice and tight. That way there's no gaps, better sound quality. Now, next strap. I gotta get something in between it first. Out of duct tape, so Scotch tape this time. Alright, and I got my second coil. I don't know if you can see because of my fingers, but it's another coil on top of the first coil, really tight. That way we'll get better sound quality out of it. Gotta wait for my hot glue gun to heat up. And if you were wondering what that black thing was that went across my desk, it was my cat Jinx. I love them, but whenever I do my videos, I usually close my door, but I didn't shut it all the way this time because I wasn't really thinking about it. But he went ahead and came in here. So hot glue gun's almost done heating up. As soon as I get done doing that, cool will be ready. And this is going to be the first time ever, but instead of actually getting the coil off of the piece of paper I wrapped it around, I think I might keep it on there. I'm not sure yet. More than likely I'm not going to, because instead of putting 2 layers of paper around it, I only put 1. So that way, well, now I won't be able to, because there's not really any room to slide it onto the magnet and allow it to move up and down, because I'll be holding onto it really tight because of the coil. So I'm probably just going to have to use it for the shaft. Probably not. I'm probably going to have to add another layer of paper for the shaft, because whenever it moves up and down, the shaft will sometimes hit the magnet, and that'll basically cause it to bottom out technically it's not bottoming out because the coil's not hitting the bottom plate, but in this case it will bottom out because that piece of paper will stop it, and eventually the shaft will get messed up and I'll have to build a new one. So I'm just gonna, after I get my coil off, just wrap another piece of paper around this one and use that for the shaft, because it's just going to be a really nice tight fit for the coil onto the magnet already. So that piece of paper will just keep it from moving, period. So gotta have another one. I think this is done heating up. Yep. And the reason why I'm using my hot glue gun so weird is trigger is messed up, and also I don't have a glue stick that's big enough for it. Well, that's small enough for it. I got this glue stick right here, which is an industrial, like, it's twice as long as this. I'm halfway done using it, but it's about twice as long as this. It's almost twice as thick as it needs to be, and so I got to use it like a soldering gun, like stick it to the glue stick and then pull it off and use the glue that's on the tip of this to use as a hot glue gun, and it's sometimes awkward. Then whenever you put it on there, you want to rub it along with the coil to make it flat against the coil so that you don't have bulks of hot glue on it. Alright, and then our coil's done. Just need to cut the wire, the excess wire that's hanging off of it. And there's our coil right there. I have a double on it and have my 2 wires running off of it. There you go, you can see it now. So have those 2 wires running off of it. And my scissors have become slightly magnetized because of all the magnets I have, and they always stick to it, so become slightly magnetized. And also with my magnets I bought, my friend found these magnets right here. They're not neodymium, they're your regular fridge magnets with a metal casing around the outside of it. They're really strong. They're they're right up there with the neodymium magnets. They're a lot stronger than the ceramic, but all they are is I forgot the name of the magnets, but they're just your regular old black magnets, but with a metal casing on the outside. They're pretty strong, hard to pull apart, and probably going to make some speakers with these pretty soon. But there you go, big ones, and I got my ceramic ones. Here's our coil. Just need to slide the magnets out. Not as simple as it sounds. It's pretty hard. Get a knife, go ahead and cut the tape going around the coil. Don't want to cut the coil itself. And then pull off the tape around the outside edge. And then the way I do this is I always get my pocket knife and slide it underneath the coil to break the tape loose from the actual from the piece of paper that I stuck it on, because it's always going to stick no matter what. But here, it works better if I get the whatever I'm using on the inside out first. So push the magnets out. Magnets aren't coming out. First time this has ever happened, but I'll figure out a way. But I'll find a way to get this coil off these magnets. There we go. And magnets up. And here's a little trick. You get your paper, here's your coil, you grab it, you pull it out, and your coil's still on there, and you just basically pull out, unravel it, then your coil just slides right off every single time. And there's your coil. Has 2 layers to it, has scotch tape in between each layer, and there we go. Now we just got to build a shaft for it. Alright, get our magnets again. Since I had to tear up the paper that was holding the coil, I'm going to go ahead and put this around it. It's the same length because I cut with the width of the paper instead of with the length. So get your first strap, tape it in place. There's our first strap right there, and then cut with the width of it again. And this is for the shaft itself this time. And then Oh. And wrap it one more time. And this is going to be the shaft for it. So we got to have it nice and tight. And tape it in place. And there's our shaft. Push magnets out. Boom. Here's the magnets with the first layer of paper, and then the second layer just slides right off. Really easy. And that's our shaft for it. So now we just gotta get this ready to glue onto the coil. I go through a lot of tape and hot glue with this because hot glue is the main thing I use for supporting everything and holding everything together. And tape I use a lot for building shafts and also some other random stuff, but there we go. Got our shaft, it's ready to go. Now just gotta hot glue this sucker in place. It's gotta be level though. Can't have it being crooked. So I'm gonna flatten it out. And that's what it looks like whenever it's flat instead of round. And I'm going to use that so I can get a level cut where it's nice and flat whenever it lays against the coil. Nice flat 90-degree angles right there. And just put it back into a circle. I just usually like flatten it and try to bend the creases inward of what they were. It usually comes out looking square, but whenever you start getting it onto the coil, it rounds out because you're putting glue all the way around it. So there we go. Alright. It's kinda weird shaped, but oh well. Let's go ahead and stick it on top of the coil. Let's clear this area. My desk is always a mess, but it's pretty clean right now. But there's the coil. Just stick your shaft on top of it, then start gluing it. I kind of have to dab it on there because of my hot glue gun. And this little hot glue gun, it gets really hot really fast and it stays really hot. It's hotter than most of them. I don't know how, but it takes a while for the glue to actually dry, so I have to sit there and blow on it. So I'm just dabbing the glue on there because there's a little bit up in there, but I don't have anything to push it out, so I dab it and it pulls itself out as it attaches to it. Well, attaches to whatever you're sticking it to, and that's how I get the glue to come out, because usually I stick it down into the glue stick itself and it pushes some up through the little hole. There we go. This usually works better. I've got calluses on my fingers now, so I can just stick it to it while it's hot so that it sticks faster and dries faster. But and I'm starting to get a little bit into the brown glue. The brown glue is the glue that's been sitting in there for a really long time. It's been heated and cooled down, heated and cooled down, and it tends to dry, and whenever it dries, it hardens a lot harder than regular hot glue. It's like almost hard as plastic, I would say. So that's pretty good. Shaft slightly crooked because of Scotch tape. There we go. And there's your shaft. Okay, gotta glue another spot real quick. Well, never mind, just forget it. It'll do. But this is how it's gonna be set up. Here's my little box I made with my magnets in it. Just stick it down in there, and it'll move up and down on the magnets. Got to readjust the shaft so that it doesn't hit the magnets. But other than that, it's working really nice. So right now I'm just readjusting the shaft where it'll fit better so that it doesn't hit the magnet. Just trying to round it out by sticking my finger in there, pressing against the sides. That way it's right there with the coil. Flatten that out. Alright, and that should fit a lot better. Yep, and it can go down further. So, seems to be catching on something. Alright. There we go. I accidentally moved the magnet in there, but set it on there. And my amp's across the room right now, so I gotta run over and get it real quick. Alright. side of this space for right here. And grab my MP3, turn it on, plug it in. Trying to find the plug for this. Oh, there it is. It's turned on. Go ahead and start some music. Oops. I still got my other speakers plugged in. Alright, no sound coming from it. That's good. Alright, and just gonna attach this little wire to these little wires, but first I gotta burn them. Where did I set it? I think I just set my hand on top of it. Yep. There she is. Just gotta burn the ends. There we go. And then just one end goes in on this one. And then another wire goes to this wire right here. And if I just let it sit there, this music is my music for whenever I have my sub plugged in. Let me find it. Let's go to Awesome. There we go. And by the way, this sounds pretty loud right now. It gets a lot louder once you actually get a diaphragm on it. This is it just playing, pushing with just these edges right here. That's all it's doing. And this is playing as loud as it would if I would have used neodymium magnets. See, it's not playing anything at all. Then you slowly bring it to it, and it gets louder and louder. So apparently having the little metal casing around it, like most speakers, actually helps with the magnetism and makes it louder. That's pretty interesting. So apparently my thinking was right. Having a little metal casing around it to help with the magnetism and make it stronger and louder. So I'm getting the quality as I would with a neodymium by just adding a little metal casing around some ceramic ones. And there you go. I'll show you the actual build once I get done with it. and I'll demonstrate everything about it and show you everything about it right now, but this is just to show you basically how the speaker is going to be built with ceramic ones, because I haven't done anything with ceramic before. So there we go, and that's all it takes right there.